Welcome to Movies in the Making. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the celebrated 2002 epic fantasy film The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, originally released by New Line Cinema and directed by Peter Jackson. Here, we will dive deep into the story of the production of this film, including how Andy Serkis was cast as Gollum. Peter Jackson put so much effort into adapting the novel by J.R.R. Tolkien, and it shows how epic the trilogy actually is, just like with the first film. So, sit back and enjoy the show. You are all in for a fantastic ride once again. What we have mentioned last time was that director Peter Jackson and screenwriter Fran Walsh originally planned adapting the novel by J.R.R. Tolkien into a two-part film. To expand upon this here, however, the two, alongside Steven Sinclair, initially proposed the first film be entitled The Fellowship of the Ring, adapting from the first volume bearing that title, and the second film entitled War of the Ring, adapting from parts of the latter two volumes. However, Jackson eventually realized that combining the second and third volumes into one single film would require skipping some vital elements from both individual volumes. He then defaulted to making a trilogy of films when New Line Cinema chairman Robert J. greenlit said trilogy in relation to there being 3 volumes of the original Lord of the Rings novel. In The Two Towers, we are introduced to the physical appearance of Gollum, the character in this film and The Return of the King, as well as the first Hobbit film An Unexpected Journey, is portrayed by Andy Serkis. He revealed in an interview with the British Academy Film and Television Awards, BAFTAs, that when he was acting for ITV's 1999 TV serial Oliver Twist, itself based on the 1838 book by Charles Dickens, Serkis's agent informed about The Lord of the Rings needing casting and that one of the roles would require voice acting. At that point, Serkis wanted to do more than just voice act. After reading the books by J.R.R. Tolkien, however, Serkis decided to portray Gollum upon realizing how deep the character was in that source material. Serkis's pet cat would constantly cough out fur balls. When he listened to what that sound was like, he then decided to imitate the sound when it came to voice acting the character Gollum. After an audition held by casting director John Hubbard, whose reaction was lowering his jaw, something Serkis at first thought looked bad, Peter Jackson met Serkis in person. When filming on set, Jackson appreciated Serkis's physical movements and facial expressions when playing Gollum, and decided to have him do motion capture so that, with the voice acting needed, he would give his full essence to the role he had been given. In The Fellowship of the Ring, Saruman makes an appearance, but his role is much more significant in The Two Towers, where he leads an army against King Theoden. Christopher Lee portrays the character, though he initially hoped to play Gandalf. Lee, a passionate fan of Tolkien, even had the chance to meet him at one point in his life. When he met director Peter Jackson, he was told that Ian McKellen had already been cast as Gandalf, which came as a shock to Lee. Jackson later reported that he and screenwriter Fran Walsh spent half an hour trying to be civil in their decision. As a compromise, they suggested Lee to take on the role of Saruman. After auditioning for Gandalf, Lee stepped away for a while but eventually returned so that he could then reluctantly accept the role of Saruman. The Two Towers also introduces the character Eowyn, who would come into more relevance in the following film, The Return of the King. Eowyn was originally meant to be portrayed by Uma Thurman. Unlike most of the other initial actors who were perceived as unfit for the roles they were first cast for, Thurman rejected her potential as Eowyn for a different reason. She had just had her first child. Filming for the trilogy took place in New Zealand, which meant that all of the actors had to travel there in order for filming to commence. Thurman was very underprepared for moving there for 3 years, especially with her child, just to act for a trilogy. As a result of this, the role was then given to Miranda Otto, who became more famous for the role she accepted. Since then, Uma Thurman has expressed regret for not accepting the role, going on to label it as one of the worst choices she made in her life. The haunting scenes set in the dead marshes were filmed in Kepler Mire, a location known for its eerie, otherworldly atmosphere. The mire is a place that remains off limits to tourists, adding to its mystique and sense of danger. This forbidden setting proved to be perfect for the narrative as it aligns with the film's depiction of the Dead Marshes as a resting place for the souls of fallen warriors. The mood of this location, with its foggy, murky waters, enhanced the eerie and supernatural elements of the marshes, making it an ideal choice for such a pivotal scene in the Two Towers. For the climactic battle at Helm's Deep, the filmmakers turned to Dry Creek Quarry, a location that would become synonymous with the iconic fortress. Constructing the set for Helm's Deep took an entire year of meticulous planning and design to bring the fortress to life on screen. Once the set was ready, filming took place under extremely challenging conditions, with the production enduring a staggering 120 rainy nights. This challenging environment only added to the atmosphere of the battle, making it one of the most memorable and intense sequences in the trilogy. Later on, the same quarry would be used to create the formidable Minas Tirith, the city of Gondor, in The Return of the King. The dramatic scene at the Forbidden Pool, where Faramir confronts Gollum, was filmed at the stunning Tahay Falls and the Mangahiro Falls. These two waterfalls provided the perfect backdrop for the tense and emotional moments between the characters. Mangahiro Falls, in particular, has since become a tourist attraction known as Gollum's Pool by fans of the film. The location's popularity has only grown over time, drawing visitors who want to experience the iconic site from the film firsthand. This connection between the falls and the story has helped preserve the legacy of its memorable scene for years to come. As with the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers had its visual effects done by Weta Effects. Approximately 800 shots needed visual effects added to them, and Weta Effects gave a total of 73 minutes' worth of visual effects. One of the most obvious aspects requiring visual effects was the character Gollum. As part of Andy Serkis portraying the character, Weta collaborated with Giant Studios, itself based in Atlanta, USA, and dedicated to motion capture. Weta would reach them with their own satellite office. When Serkis was on set being filmed with the other actors, the software application Maya was used to digitally remove Serkis so that Gollum's animation would go through compositing to take his place. The hair, or lack thereof, was animated with Maya fur, and his loincloth was animated with Maya cloth. Gollum appears in a total of 270 shots for the Two Towers. Filming for all three films in the Lord of the Rings trilogy finished in December 2000. All visual effects were completed for the Two Towers in June 2002. Just like with the first film and later the third film, Jim Rigel and Random William Cook both won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects for their work on the Two Towers. With this particular film, the award was also given to Joe Lettery and Alex Funk, who would also later be given the same award for their work on The Return of the King. Just like its predecessor, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers features a score composed by Howard Shore. One of the most iconic pieces in the score is the opening track, Foundations of Stone. This composition introduces a dramatic leitmotif, marking pivotal moments throughout the film. The first time it plays is during the opening title sequence, where it begins with a haunting violin melody. This eerie tone gradually intensifies, building a powerful crescendo that underscores the tragic reminder of Gandalf's fall with the Balrog. As the music swells, it's accompanied by booming percussion, amplifying the emotional weight of this moment. What sets the Two Towers apart from many middle entries in film trilogies is its fresh musical approach. Rather than relying heavily on themes from the Fellowship of the Ring, Howard Shore crafted new music to help the Two Towers stand independently. However, he also included some elements from the first film to ensure the tonal continuity and preserve the emotional resonance that fans had already connected with. This careful balance of new compositions and familiar themes allowed the Two Towers to feel both unique and connected to the larger saga. As of the 27th of November 2024, The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers has a 95 critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, an 87 out of 100 score on Metacritic, an 8.8 rating on IMDb, and a 4.4 rating on Letterboxd. The film's budget was $94 million, and it grossed $923 million during its theatrical release over the course between 18th of December 2002 and the 26th of April 2003. The film won 2 Academy Awards, one for Best Visual Effects, as previously discussed, and one for sound editing, Ethan van der Rijn and Mike Hopkins. It also received 4 other nominations, one for film editing, Michael Horton, one for best sound, one for best art direction, and one for best picture. The Two Towers has been viewed as one of the greatest films of all time. This film, along with the 2 other adaptations in the trilogy, have served as an influence for both filmmakers and scholars when it comes to studying cinema due to its high quality on both visuals and writing. However, some viewers have considered it as the weakest of the trilogy. For example, Kyle Anderson, writing for Nerdist, described the film as merely okay. Conversely, Sandro Minetti, writing for Sky Movies, declared it even better than the first Lord of the Rings movie. Ranking all 3 of the films of the Lord of the Rings trilogy in terms of quality is subject to debate, largely because of how highly acclaimed all 3 films are, and it's difficult to decide which one of the films is best. That is what we shall leave you to decide. And that wraps up our deep dive into the making of The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers. We've journeyed through Uma Thurman's rejection to play the character Eowyn, the conditions Andy Serkis went through to portray the character Gollum, and how the score was made differently from The Fellowship of the Ring so that it truly stood out on its own. Two Towers was more than just a film, it was the second installment of a trilogy that would excite both fans of the source material and extreme cinephiles. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on all things movies in the making. Let us know in the comments which movie you want to hear about from this channel, what you think of The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers, or if you have any favorite moments from the film we did not touch upon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Movies in the Making, where we will be talking about The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, New Line Cinema 2003, and more films to follow along the way. Tune in for more Movies in the Making as we uncover the stories behind cinema's most unforgettable films. This has been Jason Scotchmer, film enthusiast and passionate about the art.